If agroecology is so great, then why aren't all farmers doing it?
Two key points to lift up. One is that agroecology is already happening. That farmers here in the US and around the world are practicing agroecology, but we don't hear very much about it. We're not hearing about those stories. We're not learning about those successes. And the farmers that are doing agroecology have profitable, resilient, productive farms. What's holding us back is that agribusinesses have a tremendous stake in keeping things as they are. And they're using their power and influence very effectively in all kinds of different ways to make that happen. So they are now controlling seed production to a very large extent, leaving farmers with very few options. What the consolidation does, which is builds more power for these industries. These corporations have tremendous influence on policymakers, both regulators and legislators. They sway local and state elections, invest heavily in the political process. They help to set research agendas across the country in academic institutions, and they invest heavily in framing the public conversation.
And so how do we hold and work towards this agroecological ideal, this overthrow of a system that we're locked into, while also using our power to support and work towards pushing forward something that is still even barely a tiny solution on a tiny amount of land. So just to put that out there, that I think it needs like multiple levels of thinking and political and activist work. So.
Where I'm from, in Iowa, I think it's about 92% of the land is in cropland, and the vast majority of that is either corn on corn on corn, or corn-soy rotations. So what that means is, the 8 months out of the year, like I said, the ground is barren. And then for the other 4 months, our ground is covered in a single species. That farmers aren't to blame here, though. Farmers are caught in this capitalist system of production as well. And what I mean when I say that is many of the farmers that I know back home don't want to be producing genetically modified corn followed by genetically modified soy. A lot of the farmers that I know back home say, I really wish that I could grow carrots, but I've got to feed my family, so I have to grow corn instead of food. So that's the system that we're in, but the system is working exactly how it's supposed to. Farmers aren't feeding their family with food or feeding their communities with food, but they're providing capital to this capitalist system, which I'll get into a little bit. So I just want to say that farmers farm commodities like corn, because that's exactly what the market demands that they do. They get hooked on subsidies because the capitalist system demands overproduction, which lowers the price of corn. And this drops prices, of course, and then farmers, subsidies help them survive. So because farmers have these high upfront costs to maintain this system of, like high seed prices and high chemical inputs, etc., they've got to produce more and more and more to survive. So of course the system just continues to perpetuate itself. So why, I guess this brings us back to our question is, so why aren't more farmers farming agroecologically? Because capitalism, that's why. Industrial agriculture has co-evolved with capitalism, and industrial agriculture works in a capitalist system, and that's exactly what it's meant to do. So the system isn't broken, the system is working exactly how it's designed to work. So what's holding it back? I would say that agroecology isn't compatible with a capitalist system.